This is the fourth segment of our My Farm to Early Care and Education mini webinar series. So far, we've covered an overview of Farm to ECE, strategies for successfully incorporating local foods, and an introduction to local procurement. All of those webinars are available on our website for you to reference at any point in time. Today, we'll be talking specifically about strategies for purchasing directly from local farmers. My name is Abby Harper, and I'm the Farm to School Specialist at the Center for Regional Food Systems, and I'll be leading you through the webinar today. Before we get started, I want to emphasize that if you are using child and adult care food program funds, you must follow proper procurement procedure. This means using the appropriate method depending on what you are purchasing. Most folks in the early childhood programs will use the informal purchasing method, which requires cost comparisons from a minimum of 3 different vendors. If you're looking for local food, you could approach 3 different local farmers to get this cost comparison and choose the lowest price farmer based on that. In the last webinar, we also introduced the micro purchasing threshold. This is for single transactions under $3,500. And for these, you can purchase as one-time transactions without procuring multiple quotes. This threshold is meant to help providers take advantage of unplanned purchases. So for example, sometimes in the height of the season, farmers may offer a deal on a crop they have a surplus of, or may offer seconds at a discounted rate. Likewise, there may be a local food event like the Apple Crunch or the upcoming Michigan Cherry Slurp that you did not necessarily plan for at the beginning of the year. The micro purchase method is meant to help providers take advantage of opportunities like this that come up without previous planning. For most, the informal purchasing method is fairly easy to complete. Working with farmers, you could easily approach 3 different farmers at a farmer's market to get different cost comparisons and just document that to show that you are following competitive procurement procedures. Sometimes providers are confused about what practices are allowed for purchasing locally. This information comes from the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. According to MDARD, you are able to purchase fruits and vegetables directly from a grower without any additional certification. MDARD does not certify or license growers to be able to sell to institutions, and there are no requirements for early childhood programs to be able to purchase. If you're concerned about food safety practices, you can talk to a grower about their practices, but for many, certifications might be too expensive. For this reason, MDARD does not require any certifications or licensing for an early childhood program to be able to purchase from a local farmer. When we talk about purchasing local food, though, we're not just talking about fruits and vegetables. In order for eggs to be served in an early childhood meal program, they must be purchased from a licensed egg processing establishment. This is important because farmers are able to sell eggs directly to consumers without this license, but if the purchasers are going to serve them to customers, like in an early childhood program, the vendor must be licensed. If you're interested in purchasing meat and chicken locally, it must be processed at a USDA-inspected facility. So there are many great reasons to work with a farmer as opposed to a different source for local food. For some programs, having farmers deliver straight to the door and building deep connections with individual farmers is one of their goals. Working directly with farmers allows opportunities to create strong community connections. It also often allows opportunities for education, and there are programs throughout Michigan that have strong long-term relationships with farmers and have been able to add to their program by taking children on field trips or bringing in farmers to talk directly to the children. Additionally, working directly with the person growing your products may provide opportunities to request unique products or different varieties and work more closely with farmers to develop their crop plans. Finally, working with a local farmer means that you have total knowledge about where your dollars are being spent and who they are supporting. Being able to access local farms directly means you can often go on farms to see their practices and make sure that they align with what you're looking for. So there are different ways that you can purchase directly from a farmer. The first is through purchasing through seasonal agreements. This is essentially communicating regularly with a farmer to know what is available at what times and what quantities. Some folks set up agreements at the beginning of the season for regular products to be available throughout, and others are comfortable working with farmers on a week-by-week basis, just finding out what they have available and purchasing. For programs looking to develop long-term relationships and direct their menu around seasonal produce, they may need to set agreements ahead of the season with farmers to determine products, quantity, and pricing to make sure that it fits into their menu. Many programs look to community-supported agriculture shares for their local purchasing. CSAs are agreements entered into where the shareholder, or the customer, pays the entire cost of the season up front and is then given a basket of seasonal product each week. For programs new to seasonal purchasing, this is a great way to learn what's in season when and get to experiment with new foods, as well as introduce children to new fruits and vegetables they may not be familiar with. It also works for farmers to have more income up front when their costs are high. Some CSAs deliver, whereas others require pickup on the farm. And CSA shares tend to be smaller, so work well for family daycare homes or smaller centers. Lastly, some programs enjoy going to farmers markets and purchasing from farmers there. This requires that your local farmers market occurs at a time and place that is convenient for you, but allows you to purchase on a weekly basis based on what is freshest and most available. Farmers markets also allow the convenience of being able to compare prices from multiple vendors at one location and allow you to have more control than maybe a CSA has in the products that you purchase. Finding farmers has been made much more simpler with online locating tools. One great way to meet farmers in your area is to go to your local farmers market and talk to farmers personally, inquiring about their interest in supplying your early childhood program. The Michigan Farmers Market Association has a useful tool to find a local farmers market near you that can be accessed on their website. Local Harvest is another useful tool where you can find farmers in your area by typing in your area code. And it also provides information on what farmers have CSA shares or other information about farms. MSU Extension educators operate in each county and typically have deep knowledge of agricultural producers in the area. You can find your county extension educator online and contact them to find out about farmers in your area and make connections. And finally, I've referenced the Farm to Early Childhood programs, a step-by-step guide several times throughout this webinar series. That's available on our website at myfarmtoschool.msu.edu and has a long list of resources for connecting with local farmers there in addition to the ones I mentioned here. So when approaching farmers, it's helpful for them to have information about your program. For some, cultivating new relationships with buyers is a lot of additional work on their part. So the more you can do to show them you are committed, the more likely you will get a response. Crafting a letter that introduces your program, objectives, and interests in purchasing can help ensure you find the right farmers who are willing and interested in working with you. This example on the right is from Adventures Learning Center, which operates 3 locations in Western Michigan. However, it can also be a short letter that simply explains why you are interested in purchasing local and what kind of relationship you hope to have with your farmer. It is also useful for farmers to know general size and location at the beginning to ensure that it works with their logistics. Once you've identified some farmers that you'd like to work with, you can assess their practices. This sample vendor questionnaire is also included in our Farm to Early Childhood Programs guide. It allows you to ask about practices that are important, such as timing, delivery, payment expectations, and terms. It's also a tool for you to ask about other practices that might be important to you, such as food safety practices, what protocols farmers have if you receive unacceptable products, and whether or not they are available for education, whether that be field trips or otherwise. This is also a good space to talk about any products the farmer grows especially well and express interest in products that they may not grow but have the ability to. And once you've identified farmers that meet your guidelines and criteria, it's good practice to compare costs across multiple farmers and also required in the informal procurement method. However, not only is it required for CACFP funds, but it is also good practice to make sure that you're using your funds efficiently and getting the lowest cost price around. This form is also available in our guide and can be given to several farmers to compare costs. In our previous webinar, we also included a document from the Michigan Department of Education that is a template for documenting informal purchasing comparisons. Knowing ahead of time general quantities and products of interest will help farmers in responding appropriately to your request, and also help you to plan out your year accordingly. Once you've chosen farmers to work with, it's important to set up mutually beneficial agreements to make sure the partnership is successful. One tip I've heard from programs many times is that establishing how frequently and by what manner you'll communicate is really key to making it successful. Some farmers prefer email or phone calls, while others prefer texting that they can do rapidly from the field. It's also important to agree to other logistics, like delivery protocol, price agreements, and a communication schedule. Having a regular schedule when farmers let you know of their products can allow you to make more frequent purchases and also develop backup plans if the product that you desire is unavailable. Winter is a really great time to do some of this legwork. Setting up agreements before a season can ensure that farmers are planting sufficient quantity for you and help you develop menus according to their seasonality. Once the farming season and new school year get started, it can be harder on both sides to find time to lay out some of these plans. If you're interested in working directly with farmers, January through March, before they get too involved in the new season, is a really great time to be reaching out and establishing new relationships. Lastly, I want to highlight a couple best practices that I've heard from folks in the field that can help make your local purchasing efforts successful. Once you have a good relationship with a farmer, planning ahead at the start of the season can make the local purchasing go more smoothly. Some programs have success planning with farmers at the start of the season so that farmers actually plant crops specifically for those programs. This can help guarantee that you have the quantities you need at the time you need and that it's consistent throughout the season. For farmers, knowing some of their product already has a guaranteed destination may allow them to grow larger quantities and may also encourage discussions about cost to meet your needs. There are some additional cost-saving strategies that programs have used to help make their purchasing efforts more sustainable. One is that some farmers charge delivery fees. So if you can build it into a route that they are already doing, they may be willing to lower or even waive those fees. Think about what flexibility you have in receiving product, or if there are other programs in your area that are interested in receiving delivery that could share that cost. It's also good to take advantage of what seasonal discounts farmers have. Seconds are products that may be cosmetically imperfect, but still perfectly good. If you're processing them to use in meals, you may be able to get a discount and forego some of the cosmetic imperfections. Likewise, farmers may offer discounts for purchasing in bulk during the height of the season. If you're able to purchase in bulk and have some small storage like a chest freezer or dehydrator, you can often secure price discounts for buying bulk during the summer and processing them and storing them to use year-round. This is an additional benefit to extend Michigan's shorter growing season. There are also some centers that have joined with other small programs to purchase in bulk. That way they have access to some bulk purchasing discounts, even though they may only serve a few children. This is an especially useful tactic if you are collaborating with other family daycare homes. And lastly, there are cases where programs have been able to tap into local school food purchasing efforts and add their order to the school's order for local food. If schools are already doing local purchasing and have connections established, then it's likely that they could add small amounts on and allow you to take advantage of some of their bulk purchasing discounts. So get to know the schools in your area as well and find out if any of them are purchasing from farmers. So next week, in 2 weeks, we'll be talking about purchasing from food hubs, which is another method to secure local food. Thanks so much and look forward to seeing you next time. Feel free to email me with any questions that you might have.